The West was never a place, it was a fever. To the poets of the East and the painters of the sunset, it was a land of golden horizons and noble duels, where honor was measured in the speed of a draw and the clarity of a man's gaze. They saw the wide-brimmed hats and the silhouette of a lone rider against a crimson sky. But the dust, that pervasive, biting alkali dust, knew better. It settled in the lungs of the dreamers and on the counters of the saloons, and it tasted like copper and sweat. Behind the flickering gaslight of the legendary saloons, the Wild West was not a movie. It was a mechanical beast of survival, a labyrinth of deception where the air was thick with the smell of cheap tobacco, unwashed bodies, and the sharp, metallic tang of rotgut whiskey. The saloons were the cathedrals of the frontier, but their altars were built on rigged decks and their holy water was laced with strychnine. In the dim light of a dead city afternoon, the whiskey served was rarely the product of a Highland distillery. It was rotgut, a name earned with every agonizing swallow. The barman, a man with eyes like flint and a soul calculated in cents, was a chemist of misery. To stretch the supply, they diluted the alcohol with river water, but to keep the kick, that burning sensation that convinced a man he was drinking fire, they added the unthinkable: strychnine, a pesticide meant for the wolves and the rats of the plains. In small doses, it acted as a stimulant, sending a jolting, artificial energy through the nervous system. The cowboy would feel his heart race, his muscles tighten. He felt like a god for an hour before the tremors began. Then came the sulfuric acid to provide the burn, and tobacco scraps to deepen the color. Men didn't just lose their money at the bar. They lost their stomachs, their vision, and eventually their minds. Whiskey madness wasn't just drunkenness. It was the slow, chemical erosion of the human spirit. If the bar was the saloon's throat, the poker table was its heart. Under the low-hanging lanterns, where the smoke curled like ghostly fingers, the game of chance was anything but. The holdout. It was a masterpiece of hidden engineering. A man of refined appearance, a professional gambler with silk vests and a gaze that never blinked, would sit with his hands seemingly empty. But hidden beneath the heavy wool of his sleeve was a mechanical apparatus of brass and springs. With a subtle pressure of his knee against a lever under the table, or a specific tug of a hidden cord, a card would slide silently into his palm. Luck was a ghost that only visited those who had built a trap for it. The tables themselves were often deceptive wonders, featuring double bottoms and secret compartments activated by the slightest touch. The dealers, the croupiers of the dust, were magicians whose greatest trick was making a man's life savings vanish in the time it took to blink. Even the dice were weighted with lead or mercury, shifting the center of gravity to ensure the house always found its profit. In the iconic silence of a high-stakes game, the only thing more certain than death was the rigged hand of the man across from you. The doctors of the West, often men who had fled their own failures in the East, carried bags filled with the ultimate poison: Mercury. For a night with Venus, a lifetime with Mercury, the old saying went. Patients were locked in sweat boxes, subjected to mercury vapors until their gums bled and their teeth fell out. They believed that if you could expel the saliva, you could expel the demon. Instead, they disgorged their own lives. The mercury didn't distinguish between the bacteria and the bone. It melted the jaw, it clouded the brain, and it left men wandering the streets as hollowed-out shells, hallucinations dancing in eyes that could no longer recognize the light of day. But the music was a weapon of psychology. The saloon owners understood the cadence of the human heart better than any modern marketing executive. They demanded a specific tempo, 120 to 150 beats per minute. The ragtime rhythm wasn't just for atmosphere, it was a metronome for consumption. As the music quickened, the pulse followed. A man with a racing heart drinks faster. He finishes his glass in 4 gulps instead of 6. He orders another before the first is even settled. The barman would watch the rhythm, nodding to the pianist to pick up the pace when the crowd grew sluggish, fist or the final wet gasp of a man caught in a corner. The music ensured that the business of the saloon continued, even as blood began to stain the sawdust. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the Old West, though the signs promised otherwise. On the far end of the bar sat bowls of salt-cured meat, pickled eggs, and highly seasoned crackers. To the hungry laborer it looked like charity. It was a predatory calculation. The salt would ignite a fire in the throat that only more whiskey could extinguish. It was a biological feedback loop. Eat the salt, feel the thirst, buy the poison, listen to the music, lose the money. The body was not a temple, it was a revenue stream. The barman watched the bowls, refilling the salt as meticulously as he polished the brass, knowing that every grain was another cent in the till. Thanks for following us, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to activate the bell. See you next time.